Alright, so we're going to go over spells, perks, gear, and then some play examples. Let's get started. So, your three main spells that you're going to usually use when you set everything up is the number one spell that's your bread and butter is Curse of Pain. And I'm just going through these spells right now so you can see all their names. Alright, then these three spells are always going to be on your starter list whenever you start over after a wipe. We're going to go through all of them. Now, Hellfire is your main offense and defense spell. It'll be used to tackle rangers, archers, and we're talking about skeletal mages here, skeletal archers. It's also a good door stopper to put through a door when when other players are trying to rush you. Curse of Pain will heal you while you're fighting goblins in the goblin caves or fighting the undead. Hydra is a spell that consumes 20 HP, so you gotta be careful when you use it, but it's mostly used to ward off other adventurers. They don't like taking the pure damage from it, and it can also be used to detect rogues, like a warlock's light sphere, but it hits them with spells, so the rogue has to back away, and while they're running, you can shoot them in the back. Going off of usefulness, working from tier 1 all the way up to tier 6, your Power of Sacrifice, I've never really had a use for it. If you miss casting it on a target, it'll hit you with it. It does 27 damage on a target when you hit them with it. If like you cast this on them, they're going to take 27 damage over time. Yeah, their strength is increased by 15, but they're going to take that 27 damage. Dark Bolts, I've usually seen it take up to 6 shots to take a target down, and it costs 6 HP, so you're looking at 30 HP loss. It's a give and go for it. Curse of Weakness, never had a need for it, consider it useless. Bloodstained Blade, I consider it useless. Spell Predation, I've never used it, but if you can work it with a cleric, you might be able to use Dark Shard, get your a whole bunch of Darkness Shards, which can be used with your transformation perk here. But this would only be workable with a cleric if they cast a bunch of buffs on a cleric. Now, I tried casting these buff spells, like these blood buff curses, on targets, and then hitting them with spell predation to see if you get Darkness Shard. You do not get Darkness Shards if you cast your quote buff spells on other targets. Increase in weapon damage, increase in HP. It doesn't work for you. You can only use it with clerics or other spell buffs that aren't blood magic. I found Evil Eye. I haven't really used it a lot. It could be useful. Life Drain. You can use it on a target if you're standing on a crate or you're behind some crates, usually on goblins, or if you're on a ledge, if you have the stairs, you can use it on them. Don't use it on players. They will rush you. You can also use it. The only player on the entire game I could consider using this on would be a cleric. If you need to heal up and they're out of heal spells. Ray of Darkness, I wouldn't use. Doesn't heal. Flame Walker, and now we're gonna get to the combos. Flame Walker and Phantom Eyes. You turn invisible. You can rush Flame Walker. You can run through ranger traps. Use this flame to rush rangers. Get the area totally on fire. You can use it as defense spell. Cast that spell, run the other direction, cast fire in your way. It makes it harder for people to follow you. Hydra is offensive, defensive. You can use position in a door, know what to get through it. And yeah, I mean, that's basically it. Ridge Shield I've never had a use for. Now, going over perks. Number one perk I would start with after a wipe is Torture Mastery for Curse of Pain to increase my healing. Then Vampirism to increase that healing further. And then Dark Deflection, because if you're going to get into melee scraps, that extra 10 damage, if a person's charging at you, if a fighter's charging you with you at half health, it'll turn that 50 HP to 40. That 40-ish HP is like the limit where I would consider rushing someone. It'll turn it to 30. And lo and behold, your sword usually does around 30 damage. So we're talking one swing. Now, going into gear, I usually like to start with the Occultist Tunic for the Warlock, because it's the highest armor with the lowest movement speed penalty I find. We come over here, Warden Outfit, Regal. You can go on to Plate, and the lowest for that's 20, so from what I've seen. Now, when you have the time to get new pants, I recommend the Trousers. It has decreased movement speed while providing some armor. It's a little bit less armor than your regular pants, but that reduced movement speed penalty The reduced penalty is really good with the agility on it. Now, in order to get your gear, you're going to either use the tailor or the leathersmith. Now, you're always going to start with the sword. And without the sword, if they ever decide to remove it, you're going to get a stick. And you're going to want to go back to the sword as soon as you can. Now, the tailor will have the tunic on occasion. Ignore the 30 gold. A lot of this stuff sells for 15 gold. Like this right here. Okay. I wonder if this is too. It switches between the low price and the high price. Just wait for it to come up on the rotation for a low price. Now, in rarity of gear, the hardest gear you're going to get is the boots, but we'll go over that in a second. So your trousers are the second rarest, so whenever you find them in the tailor, buy them. Your tunic's going to be the third rarest. Then your warden and regal are actually going to be where your boots are. And you'll find, they're not on rotation right now, but these two outfits you're going to find over here. Also, I believe, one second. Yeah, you'll find it over here too. I believe you can find it over on leather, but I might be wrong about that. But getting back to the boots, the rarest thing you're going to have to buy that's really hard to get is the Lightfoot boots. And they're usually sold in stacks of 10 gold or 20 gold. When they come up, buy them for 10 gold, buy a bunch of them. All right? If you find yourself wearing them, you're going to notice that players will loot them from your body because of how rare they show up on the shop. More often than not, they'll just loot them so they don't have to pay that 10 gold so they can use the boots themselves. If they don't find any treasure to take in their bag and they have space, they're going to stuff those boots in their satchel for that. All right. We've gone over spells. We've gone over perks up to level 10. And we've gone over gear. Now, let's go over combinations, shall we? Your first combo that I'm not going to show in the video, but I'm going to give a description of, is the Blood Pact transformation, which increases your health and armor. You use that with this plate perk here. This will let you equip plate armor. Now let me show you this. All this can't be used. Alright? Different classes. Fighter, Cleric, Barbarian. Attach this perk. All green. You make yourself look like a barbarian and give people pause for a second. You can even use the weapons that barbarians have access to, the bardiche. Hey, botched that word up real bad. But yeah, this weapon right here, you equip this with the armor, they'll think you're a barbarian. For whatever that's worth, if you want to go through with that. Alright. Alright, we're going to use a spell. Alright, so. And then, notice that the flames don't damage either, and they'll lower people that way. Players or NPCs, depending on the situation. That's basically demonstration there, if you will. Alright. Move towards the goblin to get them. Well, usually you move out of the way for that. Now, goblins, skeletal warriors, skeletal rangers, when you cast a spell on them, usually when they stand there to take it, they will just run through it. And it takes roughly 3 to 4 hits with a sword blind right to just take out a goblin. Now, if there's a ranger on a door and you hear them, you cast a spell. Also, if you're in a room and you have to move around a lot, you can cast that spell for a second without getting hit while moving. Perfect way to open that door to run through it. Okay, well, this was Mr. Ranger's guide to how to play a warlock when you right after a wipe. So, on the solo levels. Thanks for sticking with me. I'm sorry that my guide might be a little too novices. My words are messed up. Anyway, have a good one, and thanks for watching.